Greetings friends, welcome to this week's tactics video. Today we're going to be talking about Blood Angels at the World Championships of Warhammer. I've correlated the best performing Blood Angels lists and we're going to look at competitive trends and what exactly happened at the World Championship and see what we can learn from it. Okay, so let's get into this week's tactics video. So thanks for being here and welcome to this week's tactics video. My name is John, the Blood Angels Commander, and every week we're going to tell you how to become a better Blood Angels player by looking at different strategies, units, you name it. But today we're looking at the top 3 placing Blood Angels lists in the World Championship, which finished. There was 268 players in this event. We've got a 23rd, a 30th, and a 31st place Blood Angels list. These were the highest placing lists, so that's what we're going to be diving into. And once we've looked at those, we're going to have a little bit of a bonus list from December the 1st, just this weekend past. There was a Blood Angels list that won a 66-player GT and went undefeated. So this would be the bonus component of this video that isn't to do with the WCW, but we are going to basically look at what is going to be doing well competitively right now for Blood Angels. So let's start with Lacan Rig. This was a Liberator Assault group list, and it's, spoiler alert, it's going to be a lot of Liberator Assault group. 2,000 points. We've got a Rage Captain, Mephiston, Dante, Lamartez, and our Lieutenant with combi weapon. Now, a general trend of these lists is a lot of points spent in characters. More than I usually spend. But I guess some of these characters make sense, and I guess Mephiston is a bit of a doozy. We've done a video on him before, and he's kind of doing his own thing. He's a lone operative nightmare, and he can be very difficult for your opponent to predict. So we start with these 5 characters, and we're going to see a bit of a trend through the characters. We've got the Assault Intercessors with the Impulsor, and we know that that combos with the Rage Captain exceedingly well. We then have 2 units of Jump Intercessors. We have 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. We have 10 Death Company with Lamartez. That's a trend we're going to see a lot as well. Infiltrators, 6 Sangre Guard, which can be led by Dante, and then 2 3-man Sangre Guard. And this is a new trend that was starting to develop. I did a video on competitive trends about a month ago, and I think going forward, this is probably something I will try and do in the channel like every month or so. And one of the things that we noticed was there was a trend to start moving away from the units of Death Company, those small units of Death Company, 5 guys. People felt they were kind of expensive, 130 points, and they are now being replaced with 3 Sangre Guard. And I mean, their damage output is probably pretty similar. The Sangre Guard have the 4-up invulnerable. They're still -1 to hit in combat. They have more OC. The pistol reduction, or the number of pistols being reduced out of the Death Company, means that the pistols are kind of insignificant. And the Sangre Guard do have AP3, and AP3 is kind of meaningful in some situations. So if we talk about like scoring units in this list, we've got the Jump Intercessors, which are our scoring units. We've got the Infiltrators for a backfield. We've got Lieutenant with combi weapon, Mephiston, and a potential Impulsor. So there's probably like 5 scoring options here. The couple of long-range fire support from the Ballistus Dreadnoughts, and then a lot of characters. And your Death Company with Dante, your Sangre Guard with Dante, your Death Company with Lamartez, these are going to be staples that you see in a lot of lists, and they generally perform pretty well. So this was the highest placing list with 6 and 2, and it went through these enemies: Green Tide Orcs, Black Templar Space Marines, a couple of Saritas, the World Eaters, the Stormland Space Wolves, and it pulled out a loss against both the Unyari and Genestealer cults. And these lists are available. You can check it up. I'll put a link to all the lists if you want to review them in the comment section down below. So you can look at the WCW lists, and there is more than I'm just covering in this video, and you can see what they pulled some losses out against. I had a quick look at those 2 lists, and I don't think there was anything stand out that made me think that there was a pure reason why the Blood Angels lost those games. So the second one was the 30th placed list, and based on 6 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw, and I guess it's just strength of. The other player would have had more wins earlier in his event. This player had more wins later in the event, so potentially he had a harder run, so that's why he placed higher. Battle points could be a reason as well. So this is also Liberator Assault Group, and we also see 2 jump captains, right? One has Speed of the Primarch, one has Rage, and both have Thunderhammers. We don't see Blood Angels running too many Thunderhammers, so it was nice to see a couple of captains with Thunderhammers. We got Mephiston and the Sanguinar in there. So technically this list has 3 fight first. Mephiston, the Sanguinar, this captain, and he will most likely be attached to the 6 unit of Sangre Guard. So a lot of fight first in this list. For other data sheets, we've got 3 units of Assault Intercessor with jump packs, we've got 2 Bile Predators, we've got Infiltrators, we've got, similar to the last list where we start taking these small units of Sangre Guard, and then double Vindicator tank. So really, you've got your 3 5-mana units of Jump Intercessors, you've got your 12 Sangre Guard, and that is it for Jump Infantry. Obviously a couple of captains leading them, the Sanguinar to miraculously save them, the Bile Predators to help mop up infantry and do some Overwatch board control stuff, and then the couple of Vindicator tanks. And double Vindicator tank is becoming very popular for Blood Angels. In general, Vindicators are becoming quite popular, and I was running 1 Vindicator in my current list, and I was second guessing it. I was like, is it good to run 1 Vindicator? And we're going to come back and talk more on that in a little minute. But yeah, so standard things you would see here is Infiltrators. For scoring units, this list is going to struggle a little bit more. You've got those 3 units of Jump Intercessors that can do some scoring. I guess Mephiston and the Sanguinar at some point potentially can do some scoring, and the Infiltrators defend the backfield. The Bile Predators, someone talked to me about this and said, the Bile Predators can do actions, because you could give up a turn of shooting to do an action, because then you're going to Overwatch anyway, and your Overwatch, you know, you auto hit with the Flamers. So kind of by giving up your shooting to do the action, it's not the worst thing in the world. You'll still get to potentially shoot with Overwatch. So interestingly to see, we just have like 15 Jump Intercessors, 12 Sangre Guard, and then everything else is basically like lots of points in tanks here. 350 plus 270, about 600 points in tanks. And when you factor in the fact that there's like 500 points of characters, it is really not that many units that are actually taking advantage of Liberator Assault Group. 800 or 900 points, I would say, is what you're taking advantage of Liberator Assault Group. And I felt like my win rate went massively up when I had like 12 or 1300 points of Liberator Assault Group. So it's interesting to see someone going with like 900 points. I guess if you add in the characters, it's maybe 1000, maybe 1100. But 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Bit of an unorthodox Blood Angels list to fight. But I feel like a list like this has been coming for a while, right? We have seen double Predator, double Bile Predator, double Impulsor do well before. I don't think we've seen double Bile Predator, double Vindicator tank. But, I mean, Vindicator tanks bring a lot of strength 14 firepower to the battlefield. They kill stuff with Oath of Moment. They're very, very strong. So, this was position 30, and it played against Tau, Genestealer Kurtz. It drew against the Custodes. It's funny because a normal Liberator Assault Group list would probably do quite well against Custodes, because the sheer amount of +2 strength plus 1 attack is very good against Custodes. Beat Necrons, beat Chaos Knights, beat Mechanicus, lost to Veterans of Long Lord CSM, and then beat Ultramarines. So, I was going to say CSM can be quite difficult to deal with, but this one could have very closely been like 7-0, especially with that draw against Custodes. Okay, if you are getting some value out of today's video, please do consider subscribing. I am here every week on YouTube, and if you haven't clicked the bell, and my analytics tells me like 90% of the people watching haven't clicked the bell, when I put out a new video, you do not get notified. You need to click the bell after you've subscribed. That way you get the notification on your phone. It doesn't always come as soon as I launch the video, but it does come within like 24 hours to remind you that there's a new Blood Angels Tactics video. And if you want to be the best you can be with Blood Angels, then why aren't you keeping up on the tactics, I guess is my question. So please do consider clicking the bell. Let's move on to Alejandro. And it's another Liberator Assault Group, and it's another 6 wins, 2 losses. This time we're going Captain with the Rage, Chaplain with the Fight First, Mephiston, Dante, Lamartis, and the Lieutenant with Combi Weapon. This is a boatload. 600 and some points on characters. I was going to say 180, 310, maybe not. Yeah, it is 600. It's over 600 points on characters. 1 battle line, which is your Assault Intercessors, and they will be with that Captain, the Rage Fueled, but there is no Impulsor for them. We've got 2 units of Assault Intercessors with jump packs. We've got a 10 Death Company with Lamortas. We've got a 5 Death Company, which are essentially, I think, led by the Chaplain, who fights first. We've got 6 Sangre Guard with Dante. We've got 2 units of Scouts. Missile launchers, chainswords, shotguns, sniper rifles. I feel like if I'm playing Scouts, I don't care about shotguns and sniper rifles. I prefer to take combat knives. I usually take the chainsword, the combat knives, and the single missile launcher. I think that's the best way to run them, but so be it. And 2 Vindicator tanks. Again, double Vindicator tank, showing multiple times that double Vindicator tank is being adopted as part of the meta and being played quite a lot by Blood Angels. So 15 Death Company, 6 Sangre Guard, 10 Assault Intercessors with the jump packs, 5 Assault Intercessors on foot with that Rage Captain. This list to me feels a little bit like it doesn't have as much teeth as a normal Blood Angels list, and I guess the reason it probably feels that way is just the sheer number of characters. But we are seeing a definite trend where Blood Angels players are doing much better with a lot of characters. Like, I've been trying to keep my characters cost in the region of like 300 to 400, but that seems super low now. Lots of high tier players, or high value players, or good players, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Tournament players are now really leaning towards 400 or 500 points. Like, there's a whole extra character in there. And I think in a lot of the cases it is Mephiston. It's just like Mephiston has become part of like the character staple, and he's been pushing that up from like that 300-400 to probably 400-500. Now Mephiston is kind of like a squad in that, like, you know, essentially he has what, 6 wounds with a 4-up feel no pain, which is essentially like 12 wounds. He's on a 2-up save, he's toughness 5, so he's kind of as durable as like a 5-man squad. If anything, he's probably more durable than a 5-man squad of Assault Intercessors. So some people maybe are just seeing him like a durable, lone-op Assault Intercessors thing, and he does have some, you know, occasionally he can spike damage pretty high with his Vitaris and his smites and stuff like that. So this, I think, is where Blood Angels players are now maybe willing to give up an extra unit of models. You know, like, he basically costs the same as 5 Death Company now, give or take. I would say he does, because 5 points is nothing. So basically you're giving up maybe like 5 units, 5 Death Company Marines, or, you know, a unit of Assault Intercessor with jump packs. In fact, he's only 10 points cheaper than 3 Sangre Guard, and we saw a couple of lists doing like those little quirky 3-man Sangre Guard squads. So basically you are adding Mephiston. So while the list maybe feels like it doesn't have as many teeth because you only have like the 15 Death Company and the 6 Sangre Guard, really, Mephiston is in there to do Mephiston things. So you've got a Lieutenant with a combi weapon to do some actions. We've got 2 units of Jump Intercessors that could do actions. We've got 2 units of Scouts that could do actions. And potentially got Mephiston. So you do kind of have those 6 scoring options for doing actions. You do have a good amount of killing with the Sangre Guard and the Death Company. The Vindicators we've talked about already, just with Oath of Moment, how reliable they can actually be. And again, this went 6 and 2. It came unstuck against Mechanicus and Astra Militarum. I didn't actually check out this Astra Militarum list that came up against, but if it was, I was going to say, was it like Astra Militarum infantry spam? Leman Russ, Rogaldorn. Actually looks like kind of a balanced list. Okay, it's not. I thought it might be. I thought it might be a skew list where it's like tons of infantry or tons of tanks, but no, it kind of looks like a balance. He did beat Astra Militarum right before, so maybe just a bit of unluckiness or something in there. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So those were the 3 best lists from the World Championships of Warhammer, the 3 highest placing, best wins to lose ratio Blood Angels lists. So then let's talk about a bonus list, and this is the bonus list I wanted to talk about from December the 1st, and it is the biggest event I could find out with the WCW, the most players, where a Blood Angels player went 100% win rate. He beat Knights, a mirror match, Necrons, Chaos Knights and Genestealer cults, and notably these are two lists that Blood Angels became, or two armies that Blood Angels became unstuck against in the WCW. So this I thought would be really interesting to look at and see, like, alright, so what is beating these at not WCW? And this was by Jordan Bennett. Congratulations, Jordan. He went 5 wins, 0 losses. Like I said, 66 player GT. So, you know, the usual suspects are here in the characters. We've got Lamartas and Mephiston. So if we're going to have Lamartas, we're going to have 10 Death Company with jump packs. We have a captain with a jump pack who is a rage-fueled warrior. So this captain with the jump pack, I think in this sense, is probably going to attach to the 10 assault intercessors with jump packs. And he's going to do his rage-fueled thing with his relic weapon. The other captain is going to take Speed of the Primarch, and I believe he's going to attach to the Sangre Guard. So we have Fight First Sangre Guard, we have Mephiston as a lone upper thing, we have the Jump Captain with Rage attached to the 10, and then Lamarta's attached to the 10. So essentially, like, we've got 3 pretty devastating melee units there. The 10 Assault Intercessors, the 10 Death Company, the 6 Sangre Guard. What do we have beyond that? Then we've got 2 more units of Assault Intercessors with jump packs, which could do scoring or do some killing. We've got Infiltrators for the home field objective. We've got a Baal Predator, we've got a Gladiator Lancer, and we've got a Vindicator tank. And I guess when you put those 3 things together, you actually probably create quite a nice balance in that, like, you get the Baal Predator rushing up. Like we said, it could do actions or it could do flaming. You've got the Lancer for that long-range anti-tank. And you got the Vindicator, which is pretty much good against everything. Strength 14. It'll take out elite infantry, it'll take out enemy armor, it gets a good number of shots, it's got blast, it can shoot its blast in combat, its toughness 11, it's got 2 up save. There's a lot to like about the Vindicator tank, and I guess that it's got the Hunter Killer Missile as well. So this was an interesting one where it's like, he has balanced this pretty nicely. And if there's one thing to be said is, like, balance with Blood Angels seems to be more prevalent than ever. And then we also have 2 units of scouts, and this time he actually went 2 guys with combat knives, the missile launcher and the sniper rifle. I don't really rate the sniper rifle. Like I said, I would prefer that 3rd combat knife, but it's super minor. I guess 1 shot with a sniper rifle or 1 attack with a combat knife. Realistically, they're both unlikely to probably do much damage, so I don't think it changes all that much. So this was the list that went 5 and 0, and having looked at all 3 lists, I thought it would be good to try and build a bit of a conclusion based on the conclusions that we saw like a month ago when I did the competitive trend video. So try to look at what we learned a month ago. And basically, like I said, this is maybe something I'm going to start doing like every month, or maybe like every 6 weeks or something on the channel, to try and see exactly like what is doing the best in tournaments right now and what we should be bringing. And in previous years, maybe I'd looked at like one list. Like I'd pick, like, you know, for example, if we go back like in a previous year, I might have picked a singular list by Jordan and go like, Jordan won a GT with this list and this is why it's good. And while that is useful, I think knowing a little bit more of like an overall topology might actually be even more useful. So that's what I'm aiming for with these style of videos. So let's look at the conclusion or trend, right? So the 10 Death Company, led by Lamartas, is deemed very strong by the Blood Angels community, and Astaroth just doesn't feature. He wasn't in any of these lists. There are people that like the devastating wounds that Astaroth brings, but like in a competitive sense, people are just not seeing the strength with it right now, and it's just not getting played. People are finding a solid degree of success in the 6 to 12 Sangre Guard. So when it first started, people were maybe edging to just taking that 1 squad of 6. People are now running multiple small squads of 3 to buff or to complement that squad of 6. So I think 2 of the lists had 12 Sangre Guard in them, and the 3-man squads are getting even more play. If we go back like a month, they were just sort of breaking in. There was like an odd list that had a 3-man squad. Now it is getting a little bit more play. All of the top lists now are hybrid approach, right? All of the lists we looked at today feature 2 fire support units at least. I guess does that mean that like hybrid lists are now officially meta, right? Like we've just had the World Championships of Warhammer and nobody ran an all Blood Angels melee list anymore. I don't know if I'm necessarily happy about that. I mean, I've been advocating for years that I think that Blood Angels are good as a hybrid approach, but now that everybody's doing it, I'm like, oh, have I become popular? I don't know. I guess the Primaris changes have made the hybrid approach more popular. And It's a little bit sad to see that nobody is finding the strength in the all melee Blood Angels list, but hybrid seems to be the way forward now. If we look at characters points spent, out of these lists, 625 points was the most spent on characters, and it was in one of the World Championship lists. And if we average all 4 of these lists, 515 points spent on characters. So yeah, I think before Mephiston, if you take 125 off there, people were spending 300 or 400 points on characters. But Mephiston has like changed the rule there, where like it is okay to spend a little bit more points on Blood Angels characters, potentially if you have Mephiston. It's worth noting that Mephiston was once again the most popular character. He was the most popular last month. He is the most popular again. Sangre Guard with Fight First or Death Company with Fight First are still often being seen, and sometimes they also get seen even with Mephiston on the list, so potentially like multiple Fight Firsts. Again, the Rage Fueled Warrior was in every list, but there was more variety in what he was picked in this time, right? We saw him on a Chaplain, we saw him on a Jump Captain, we saw him on Foot. Mephiston is still the most popular character. He was picked in every list this time. Lamarta's appeared in 3 out of the 4 lists, so Lamarta's plus the Death Company is also seen as super strong. The only battle line unit that gets picked in the competitive scene is Assault Intercessors. There's just, no one ever picks any of the other battle line units, which is a shame because I think Heavy Intercessors are pretty good. Someone was spitballing the idea of fielding like 30 Heavy Intercessors because they're actually ridiculously low in points. There was a small variety of vehicles being used. Vindicators and Ballistus Dreadnoughts appear to be the most popular. The Gladiator Lancer was at least picked this time because in previous weeks it hasn't been picked. And while the Ball Predator had disappeared, it is now getting picked again. It got picked twice, once as a 2 and once as a single pick. So I guess if you do want to run a single Ball Predator, there is some strength in that. If you do want to run a single Lancer, as long as you have other fire support options, there is some strength in that. The Scouts and Jump Intercessors are still absolutely wildly popular. There's still no Suppressors and no Outriders breaking into the competitive scene. Infiltrators are still present. They were present in every 5 or 6 lists last time. It's 3 or 4 lists this time. So Infiltrators are just once again seen as they have to be picked. Someone likened Infiltrators to eating your vegetables. It's not fun, but you just need to do it. And then finally, the Impulsor was actually only picked once in these 4 lists. Now, the Impulsor has been very, very popular. I personally am running 2 of them, and I really like them. I don't think this maybe means the Impulsor is not going to still be seen a lot. I think a lot of people are finding strength with Blade Guard. I suppose it was important to say none of these lists included Blade Guard. Or Terminators. Gonna put that down there. No Terminators, no Blade Guard. I feel like that's meaningful enough to type that down. No Terminators, no Blade Guard. Because if I'm going to do this again in a month's time, I'm probably going to want to remember that I said that. So yeah, I mean, no Blade Guard, no Terminators. But the one time the Impulsor was picked, it was picked with the effing Sky Talon array, which is like 8 strength 4 shots with anti-fly 4-up. I can't understand why it was why he put a Sky Talon array on an Impulsor over the Shield Dome. The Shield Dome Impulsor, I think, is still very good. But this, like, I'm only looking at a small snapshot of lists, and maybe there is still strength in those. And I'm probably, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to take double Impulsor with Blade Guard to the tournament that I'm going to go to next, to the next GT I'm going to go to. So if they do badly, then I'll at least be able to report on that for you. But right now they're not seeing play. Neither are Terminators, neither are Blade Guard. So that's sort of the overall conclusion from, I guess, the World Championship and the best tournament winning list that we've seen yet, or the biggest tournament winning list we've seen yet in December. If you didn't watch the video I made last week on Blade Guard versus Terminators, then it's probably worth a watch, because if you're looking for a fight first unit for Blood Angels, these 2 units are possibly the best fight first units that we have. You can run either of them. I think they're both really good. The video will break it down exactly why I think they're really good, so check that out now. If you want to support the channel, there is obviously links in the video description, and you can find me over on Patreon. Thanks so much for getting to the end of the video. I do always appreciate it. If you'd like to leave a like before you head out, I'd very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys later this week for some live streams and that sort of good stuff. I hope you enjoyed the video. By the blood are made strong, my friends. Peace. Peace.